Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be my September recap and it is October 28th when I'm filming this. So I was late filming this video and I've already filmed it once and I just did not like the way it turned out. I did not want to edit it. It was a super long video. If you have been around here, you know that I love talking about books and sharing books with you guys, but I absolutely hate the editing process. And so I want to just get you guys videos and talk about the books that I want to talk about and not have to worry so much about editing it and making it perfect. So if you want links to the books that I read or whatever, just look down in the description below. I probably won't even be putting clips or like screenshots of what books they are if I listen to them, just because I want this to be chill. I don't want to edit out a lot of stuff, so hopefully I don't say anything dumb, and I want to get this video to you guys soon. So I've got my iced coffee and I've got my list of books for September that we're going to chat about. So first I read 8 books and it was about 2,950 pages, I believe. So not my best month, but it was super busy, and you'll just wait till you see the October recap. I probably read even less because it has just been a crazy busy season, but I'm trying my best to get to my goal, and even if I don't hit my original goal, if I hit 100 books, then I'll be happy with that. In the beginning of the month, I read this one series, or I started it, the Sky King Ranch series by Susan May Warren. I bought Sunrise a long time ago based off of someone's Goodreads recommendation, so I read it and I liked it, and so I bought the other two, the Sunburst and then the last one, Sunset. I have not read yet, but I am working on it. So the trilogy is 3 brothers who are from Alaska, which I like the Alaska setting, and their father was basically like a bush pilot, and they all kind of know how to fly, and they're all like heroes in their own way. So the first one, Sunrise, is about Dodge, and he's run away from home and been away for like 10 years because something happened between him and his brothers. And so he comes back when his father gets injured, and then he's reunited with his childhood love. And if you've been around here long, you know that that is one of my favorite tropes. And they just have this really good chemistry together, and I liked their scenes. And I don't know, I just like the way that this book played out. Even though it was not the greatest writing, it was a little dramatic, it was a little bit too lovey-dovey, but I still ended up giving it 4 stars just because I just enjoyed it at the time that I read it. I can't really say if this is an objectively great book, but her writing kept me interested. Just the storyline, the tension, there was a lot of action, made me really love this book. It kind of felt like a Hallmark movie, but like a good Hallmark movie, so if you like Hallmark movies at all, but you want something with like a little bit more depth, I really love this. There actually wasn't a lot of like physical attraction in here, which was pretty nice. And even though there wasn't like explicit like biblical counsel given, there actually were a lot of good lessons on forgiveness and other biblical principles moving on from your past. I really liked it. As far as how clean it was on the cleaner side for like a Christian romance book. There was one pretty detailed kiss, but there was a great lesson on why, 1, I think you should not kiss before marriage just because of the temptations that come up in these characters' minds. And 2, why you should not put yourself in unwise situations where maybe you two are the only ones out in the wilderness staying together. So nothing happens, but I think it did present a good lesson on why you should be aware of your surroundings and aware of who you're with. So yes, I definitely like Sunrise. And then I read Sunburst, and I ended up giving that one only 3 stars. So I expected the series to continue to be mostly clean, but this one I would consider less clean because Ranger is the second brother, and he's with this girl Naomi that he really likes. And I like it started out kind of like Byronic character, like he's kind of gruff and has this past, and she's just like bright and bubbly and changes him, but then of course there's like the we don't communicate kind of trope, and then they break up, and then somehow they get back together while they're on this like adventure in Africa, whatever. But the tropes were terrible. The marriage of convenience trope, okay, I can do that. Love Comes Softly was one of my first like favorite series whenever I was younger, but the one bed trope, I do not understand how people like that. Even if they are married, it's just, it's weird. And there was just way too many weird comments that came up And if it was mentioned like maybe a few times, I'd be like, okay, cool, whatever, moving on. But literally the whole main story, besides like, oh, we're trying to escape the terrorists in Africa, but that's not really that big of a deal because we're just so worried about the fact that we have to stay in the same room together because our family thinks that we're married. And also, let's not communicate about our attraction at all and just make everything super awkward instead of actually just like having a conversation about like, hey, what do you actually want and what should we actually do in this circumstance? So yeah, there was adventure. It was cool. I like the characters. Overall though, honestly, maybe like I should have given it like 2 stars just because of that whole storyline. Didn't like at all. And then we read The Untold Secrets of Planet Earth, Monumental Monsters. I ended up giving that 4 stars. A couple months back, our family read the Dire Dragons one. This one is about how things used to be bigger, just in general. Not all of them, but a lot of things were a lot bigger than they are today. And if you're interested in like proving, okay, that evolution is making things better, then I would definitely recommend this book to you, especially like if you're a homeschooler. I think you would really enjoy it. The whole set, I'll leave the link down below. The whole set, there's like 5 books, I think, and it's like $100. There's a coupon on their website, and it's just really, really well put together and has so much evidence in there. The only thing I didn't like about this book, the reason why I gave it 4 stars, was because it was quite redundant. I felt like it was just like over and over and over again. Look at this massive armadillo. Look at this massive centipede. Super creepy. Would never want to live with those things, but it was super fascinating to learn about. So I would definitely recommend that you go read that. And then Activated by Nova McVie. This is the 3rd book in the Calculated series, and I think the middle one was probably, or so far, the second one, was definitely my least favorite. I did really enjoy this book. Throughout the book, I kept thinking like there was a lot of things that I didn't like, but somehow I just still loved it by the end. It was so good. My biggest complaint was just that there was a little bit too much of the relationship aspect of it, and it was a little bit too dramatic. But personally, I love the way it ended up because there was like a love triangle going throughout the books, and I think it ended up perfectly. There are some moral decisions I didn't like the fact that she would lie to her dad whenever she would go do certain things. Like, I understand it would have been an awkward conversation, but she still should have just had that communication and then it would have been over with, and she wasn't necessarily doing anything bad. She was just lying about it. And the main plot was just a bit cliche because in this one it went to the whole like end of the world, like save the world from the terrorists kind of plot line. But I think she still did it well. Nova McVie is such a good writer, and I really wish that more people knew about her books because I feel like it could be just like a whole fan club. I love it. And the writing is so good, and it's clean. So I love that. The dad team was just so good, and the relationship between Jo and her dad is cool, but just seeing like the other dads come in and just this whole like, it's like this family reunion with all these like friends, and it was awesome. And I had so much raw emotion that like I was literally almost crying, like going to the grocery store listening to this book, because it was just so well written and it was so emotional. So if that's not enough of a plug for this series, maybe go watch my other videos on these books, but they're so good. I love them. And then I listened to Now and Then and Always by Melissa Tagg. I gave this 2 stars. This month I tried a lot of Christian fiction books or new authors, and I did not love it at all. So the narrator on this book was awful, and so that probably contributed to me not liking this book that much. There was literally no break in between the point of view switches, and it made it very confusing because it would be like her brain and then all of a sudden it would switch to his brain, and it was just like, ugh. So at first felt like typical Hallmark love story, but then the romance just is like, the plot idea is okay. So she doesn't have a great family. She ends up fixing up this house because she was staying with this woman, and the woman just mysteriously disappeared. So then she's stuck with the house, and she decides, oh, why not fix it up? And then he lost his daughter, and in his grief, he drives like across 2 states and shows up at her front door in the middle of the storm. So obviously, what they should do is stay in the house together and fix up the house. And of course, it's just like second nature to fall in love with each other, or actually, sorry, attraction at first sight. Nothing to do with love. So interspersed in the, oh, we have no money, but we're fixing up this house together plot was the I haven't talked to my father in 10 years plot. Also, my ex-wife wants forgiveness and reconciliation, and a crime lord lost his family and all these valuable paintings plots. So some of these were okay, but then, I don't know, it just got weird. My biggest problem was the morality, and I know this is just like a worldly thing that is so normal to people of the world, but I don't get it. Why would you kiss someone that you didn't even know if you liked, much less if you didn't even know if you were gonna marry them? Like, I wouldn't even kiss someone until I was married, and I don't understand, like, before you even go on your first date, like, taking that step. It's just so weird. And then there's just like so many issues that come from that, and that was just the issue with this book, that they like kissed and then it was like, oh wait, should we communicate about the fact that like maybe we like each other? And I'm like, you guys are crazy. It's insane. Also, I don't agree with just the view of divorce and remarriage in this book, because it would have been so perfect. This guy and his wife, there was sin involved, they got divorced, but then they both became believers, and they could have had this beautiful reconciliation and got married to each other, because like they both fight for like, we want to have a good relationship with each other just as friends. But I think it would have been such a better story if they would have gotten remarried and had that like redemptive aspect to their story. So, good points in this book. I like the friend group. There's like these single friends in the town that kind of stick together, and they're kind of funny. And Lenora was an interesting character, but other than that, I would not recommend this. I don't know if it is indicative of all of Melissa Tagg's books, but this is not one that I would recommend that you put on your read list. Okay, moving on to something I gave a much better rating. Why Didn't They Ask Evan by Agatha Christie. This, I gave it 4 stars. I don't really have like a ton to say about it, but this is definitely up there with some of my favorites of Agatha Christie. I love Death on the Nile. Murder on the Orient Express was pretty good. I can't think of any of my other favorites, but this one, it was definitely just a good mystery book. And I actually appreciate that it was just average people solving the mystery. I thought I really liked the Hercule Poirot ones, but I think I like this one. That's just like average kids basically solving this mystery. And they weren't even super smart. They were just like taking the clues, putting them together, solving it. So I definitely love the dynamic between Frankie and Bobby. They were super cute together, and the ending was definitely so sweet. And it wasn't gruesome at all. If you're looking for like mystery books that don't have like just gross twisted endings, like The Crooked House, which I absolutely hated, I would definitely recommend this one. And I think it would just be a satisfying mystery book for you to read, and it's clean. Okay, then I read Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology, and My Harrowing Escape by Jenna Miscavige Hill. Our church did a bad theology class over the summer, and the Scientology stuff was just like super sad, but super just wild and bizarre, and you want to learn about it because it's like some kind of sci-fi book. So I wanted to listen to this is it an expose of someone who lived inside of Scientology and what it was like. Actually, her uncle is still the head guy. So story, super interesting, super eye-opening, but there was no happy ending to it. I mean, I don't really expect it to be. She got out of Scientology, but she's still stuck in just as much of a false religion because she's worshiping herself instead of worshiping the true God. So that was just like sad and kind of depressing to get to the end of the book and realize that she's still lost. I learned a lot about Scientology, but it's still like even some of her things were very like victim mentality and not actually looking at it like objectively. I would not really recommend this book to you unless you were just like super interested in cults and want to know all about Scientology. There was a lot of language in here. You can see my Goodreads review for more details and some adultery and other sins related to that. So because of that, I only gave this 2 stars. And then lastly, we're gonna get it in like 15 minutes. I read Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin. This was another one of my new Christian fiction authors, which I think I'm gonna do a video on those new ones that I tried. And this is, did I already say the title? I don't even know. Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin. I think I already said that. Anyways, I gave it 4 stars. Absolutely loved it. Literally crying through the grocery store. It was just so good. I think this is one of the better like historical fiction books that I have read this year. I think it kind of compares to like Fountains of Silence type feeling, although less history than Ruta Sepetys, obviously, because she's so good. But my biggest complaint is that it did seem to go really fast with like large gaps of time, like whenever they met and when they fell in love. there actually was a huge gap of time in between there if you were like pay attention to the dates, but since I was listening to it, I wasn't paying so much attention to the dates, and it felt like it went really fast. You're like, whoa, didn't they just meet? But it actually was a big gap of time. So that was the only thing that like felt off, but I think if you paid attention to the actual real time of it, the pacing was pretty good. Josie literally was so cute. I have a little sister who's around the same age as Josie in this book, and so I was just like loving listening to it, and her personality is just so funny. And I actually did learn a little bit about the history of Paris during World War II. Why is it that every book you read about Paris, they're always in a war? Is that like historically accurate? Like, are they constantly in a war? Cleanliness of this was super great. I gave it 4 out of 5. There was a couple of kisses, but nothing like weird or like a lot of physical attraction. It was just great, and focused on like more the aspect of, oh, we need to get out of this war zone, instead of like, oh wow, we love each other so much. So there we go. There's the 8 books that I read in September, trying to talk a little bit faster and a little bit more coherently than I have in the past. And I will try so hard to get you guys more videos and to read more and to talk to you guys about books and just like not think about editing so much. As you can see, my bookshelf is kind of empty back here because we kind of moved things around in our room, and the bookshelf is like falling apart, and I need to figure out how to put that back together and get books back on the shelf. But I want to film more, and I will see you guys over on Instagram and also back here on YouTube. And one more announcement in the next like 5 seconds that I have. I opened a shop on Etsy that has some ornaments that are bookishly themed, so I will leave the link down in the description below if you guys want to go check that out. So see you guys later. Bye.